guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mika. I am so sorry for the hiatus, okay? I feel like I say that every single time I upload a new video, but it's true. It's literally as if every time I try to be consistent, the universe is like, ha, try again. I kid you not, like the most insane things have happened to me this year, and I've really been going through it. I truly wish I was vlogging everything that happens to me, because I was texting my friends and they were like, Mika, this is actually insane, like this stuff would only happen to you. Maybe I'll talk about it later on my channel in a vlog, or like in a more intimate setting, if you will. But anyways, on the bright side, I have been reading a lot. I have been wanting to film a fall book recommendation for the past 2 years now. It's been a while since I filmed my last one. I think I filmed a fall recommendation video back in like 2021. Which 2021 was like a weird year, honestly, for everyone, but it was a really weird year for me, and it feels like it passed in the blink of an eye, and now we're in 2023, and the thought that it's almost over makes me actually want to curl over. And I was not gonna let another year pass me by where I don't talk about like my favorite season for reading. I genuinely feel like fall and winter are just some of the best times to read. I know a lot of people like go back to school around that time, but there's just something about like the coziness of fall. And also I personally think that like the busier I am, the better I can read. After a stressful day, I get to just like lay in my bed and do absolutely nothing but lose myself in these silly little characters. I'm also a firm believer in reading like whatever genre you want, no matter what time of the year it is. However, with that being said, I do think that summer is like perfect for reading romance, and then fall is perfect for reading fantasy or like dark romance, if that makes any sense. So for the cohesiveness of this video, I am going to, I guess, lean towards fantasy, dark romance books. I do have some like, I was gonna say I have some regular romance books, but I guess not. You'll see when I get to them. But yeah, I just want to like preface that before going into this video. I genuinely have so many regular romance book recommendations, and I don't know if that's a video that you guys would be interested in. If that is, let me know down below in the comments and I will be happy to film one. I also really want to get back into filming vlogs. I haven't filmed a vlog in so long, and it's just so therapeutic to me, and I miss it so much. My book room feels so close yet so far away at the same time, and I feel like a part of me has also been waiting to have my home library and like have it ready and set up before, I guess, delving into deeper content. But like I need to not let that stop me, because I miss filming and I miss being in front of this camera and talking to you guys. Okay, enough about me and enough about like my little life updates. I'm going to get into these cozy fall book recommendations. So the first book that I'm going to show you guys is Poison Study, and this is by Maria V. Snyder. Listen, if you want a book that you are going to read and know that you're going to like, read this. So this is like the old version of the book. This book came out in 2005, I think. Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Let me double check that. Yeah, so this book came out in 2005, and I actually have the like beautiful box set of the entire series. They do have the new covers now, I believe, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I have the box set on my shelves. Chloe over at Books with Chloe actually gifted it to me for my birthday one year, which was so sweet because I absolutely loved this book. I don't think there is a single person who will read this and tell me that this book is bad. And if you do, you're wrong. I'm sorry. As I mentioned before, this book was written back in 2005, but if you end up reading this, I want you to like message me on Instagram or Twitter or something, tag me in a post, I don't know, and we need to compare notes on every single book that has been released since then that proves this was literally the blueprint. Like, I don't know how else to describe this. Like, all the books that we've been reading, I want to say in like the new adult, older YA fantasy genre, has so many elements that this book started. And I know that's like a really bold claim, but I genuinely believe that. I think that this was also a really popular book around this time, like around 2005. In 2005, how old was I? 3, 4. I was 3 years old when this book came out. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. I don't really know how popular this book was, but I do know that it was definitely popular, because I remember a few of like my favorite authors talking about reading this book and pulling inspiration from it. So I could just imagine like the hold that this had back in the day, I guess. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys what the book is about because I'm just like rambling about a whole lot of nothing. So the main character, Yelena, is about to be executed for murder. But then she is offered, I guess, a role in order to be released. Not really, because the role isn't that great. She is to be a poison taster for the king, or the commander of the kingdom that they currently live in, Ixia. And the chief of commander is basically in charge of like controlling Yelena and making sure that she doesn't do anything stupid. So he like slowly feeds her poison, and he feeds her this really deadly poison, and the only way for her to survive it is to get the antidote from him every single day. This is a fantasy, so it does involve like magic and, you know, the typical new adult fantasy things. I'm gonna just like outright say it is not smutty, at least not the first book. It's not super smutty. There is a lot of romance, and I really enjoyed it, and I feel like you guys should read this. And if you do read it, let me know what you think. I will answer, because I have been wanting to talk to people about this dang book, and absolutely no one that I know or that I'm friends with has read it. So I need someone to talk to about it with. And it's perfect for fall, and it's perfect for this season because it literally has like all the dark, angsty vibes. We're talking about poison, we're talking about magic. The scenery is also pretty great. Yeah, I actually want to reread this soon and finish the rest of the series. I don't know why I didn't finish the rest of the series the first time I read this. I kind of regret that, but I will finish it soon, that's for sure. Okay, so the next book that I want to talk about, or the next two books that I want to talk about, are Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I'm including both of these books because the second one is better than the first one, and I've seen way too many people just stop at the first one and not continue on, and I simply cannot allow that. I went into reading this book and I was kind of just like, okay, like this was really good. Like I was very intrigued. I stayed up to read it. I think I actually only read this in a few hours. It wasn't like anything too crazy, but I loved the world of Caraval when I had read it years prior. I think I read Caraval the year that it came out, and I remember Jax's character, and I didn't really like know too much about him to have cared about him having his own story. I was excited for it, but at the same time I didn't have like any expectations for it, if that makes sense. But with that being said, you don't have to read the Caraval series in order to read this or even enjoy it. The sisters from the first series do make a short appearance in this book, but I'm pretty sure everything is basically explained if you didn't read the original series. And then Jax is one of the love characters from Legendary and Finale, I believe, and obviously the main love interest in this series. I personally enjoy this series more. I read the first two books of the Caraval series and I stopped reading after book 2, which was Legendary, because I just personally, I don't like Tella. I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of Tella stans who are going to be real mad at me for saying that, but I just don't really like her. She wasn't my favorite sister. I preferred Scarlet, and it is what it is. But I freaking love Evangeline. She is like my baby princess, okay? I want to protect her at all costs. The last book in the series, I'm pretty sure, is going to come out literally this month, probably before I even get this video up, and if not, right after I upload this video. I don't know the exact date, but I know it comes out in October. So in this book we follow Evangeline, and she is just absolutely heartbroken. So she strikes a deal with the, what the heck is Jax? So she strikes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, and because he is a fate, it is like a well-known thing in this world that you should never ever make deals with fates, because they're very tricky people and they're just like not the most truthful, forthcoming people that you want to make deals with, and they kind of like skirt around it a lot. And in order to make a deal with Jax, you have to endure his deadly kiss, or his so believed deadly kiss. I think that's the premise of this. Did I just make that up? Yeah. Okay, in exchange for his help, he asked for 3 kisses to be given at a time and place of his choosing. Listen, when I tell you, this entire series was just a fever dream to me. I finished reading it and I was just like, I need the next book and I need it now. Anyways, read this, and then when you're done with it, immediately pick up The Ballad of Never After, because A Curse for True Love comes out so soon and I need you guys to read this, okay? And if you do, just like Poison Study, I need you guys to tag me, message me, literally anything, so we can talk about this book, because I am going to be rereading them soon so that I can prepare for the last book in the series, which I cannot believe is so close to being in my hands. So this next book, I could not decide for the life of me which copy I wanted to use for this video, so I brought both. The next book that I'm recommending is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. This is the indie version, so she was independently published, and the cover is definitely a choice and a statement, if you will. Not my fave, but I am a sucker for having the independently published versions of my favorite books, and this is a favorite of mine. But because this one's prettier, this is the one I'm gonna hold up. This is the Bloom Books version. It is now I cannot say that word. It is now traditionally published, and when I tell y'all, this book tore me up and put me right back together in the best and worst way possible. Whenever I say I want to read a book so good that it alters my brain chemistry, this is what I mean. This is the material that we're working with. I actually finished this book last year around this time, and like, I originally gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, I think, but I genuinely could not stop thinking about it. I was reading other books in the meantime and I was enjoying them, but something in me just kept thinking back to this book. I was like, okay, hold on, I need to just go back and reread some parts, and I just went back and I reread them, and I still felt as intensely as I did the first time reading it, and I was like, okay, I think we have a favorite on my hands, and I feel like this must be a 5-star read. Genuinely believe that this is like one of my favorite dark romance books. With that being said, I also highly suggest that you guys check the trigger warnings for this. I didn't before going into it, and I was okay, but my experience is obviously not going to be the same for everyone else, so I just wanted to put that out there. It is also considered a dark romance, as I mentioned before, but it's not because the romance itself is dark. The romance itself is actually pretty sweet, and like, I loved every second of it, but the contents inside of the book are very, very dark and can honestly be extremely triggering to some people. So that is why it is, you know, marketed as a dark romance book, and why I think it's so important to check trigger warnings for books like this. My gosh, I can't even just thinking about this book, like, I just love it. So this is about Cora and her sister's fiance named Dean, who absolutely hate each other. They loathe each other is the correct word. And one day when she is left stranded at a bar, the person she least expects to be there is Dean. And when she ends up knocked out and chained to a basement with Dean by her side, now you have two people who have literally hated each other for the past 15 years having to work together to try to get themselves out of like a horrible, obviously life-altering situation. That's all I'm gonna say what this book is about, and just read this, please. It's so good. I absolutely love this book. I don't know, everyone that I've recommended it to has really liked it, so like, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like if you think that sounds even remotely interesting, you're probably gonna like this. I'm trying to decide if this next series is even worth mentioning. I'm gonna just show y'all. Okay, so the next series is Zodiac Academy by Caroline and Suzanne. Wait, okay, they both have different last names. So it's by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. They were both sisters, and they wrote the Zodiac Academy series. So last year, I don't know if you guys remember, was it last year? I don't even know when the hype for this series started, but when it was there, I was on that hype train, and I read all 7 books in like 2 weeks. Okay, I don't know what possessed me, I don't know what got into me, but I literally devoured them. They were so bad, like so bad, but so good at the same time. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know what crack the authors put in the pages, but I was seated. Let's take a moment to look at the chapter pages. Like, these are the beginning of every single chapter, and it's just so stunning. Like, I love it. This is such a good fall read. This is actually such a good fall read. If you're looking for something that's like not too, I don't know, I guess heavy, but you still want fantasy, then read this. Unless you don't like bully romance. That's like a huge thing. I think that like a lot of people go into this series not expecting it to be a bully romance, but that's exactly what it is. And it has like a lot of like forbidden romance tropes. So yeah, if you don't like that, maybe stay away from it. But I think it's great, and I feel like this book and this series really, I can't even say it's really good because like technically it's not, but it's good enough that it kept me seated for 8 books. There were only 7 books out when I originally read them. The 8th book came out like earlier this year, I think, or last year. I don't remember when the 8th book came out, but now there's a 9th book. So yes, it's also a really long series, and if that intimidates you, then also maybe don't read it. But again, they're like so addictive that you're gonna read them, blink, and the series is gonna be over. Okay, let me stop rambling. Let me tell y'all what this series is about. It's about these 2 twin sisters. They're both Geminis, obviously, because the Gemini represents the twin, and they are just slumming it in the, I think in Chicago, like in the depths of Chicago, and they have absolutely no money. They are very, very broke and have to like live in this tiny shoebox of an apartment and just like make ends meet basically. And then they are visited by Lance Orion, who is a professor at this school named Zodiac Academy. And these girls, who are obviously living in the human world, are then told that they are long lost princesses to the throne in the kingdom of Celeria, where they originate from, and that in order to gain their inheritance and not be broke like they are currently, they have to come with him and go to the kingdom of Celeria and attend Zodiac Academy and basically learn all this magic that they were years and years and years behind in order to get their inheritance. And yeah, that's basically what this is about. And it sounds as stupid as it is, but it's so good. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Everyone at this school has a vendetta against the 2 sisters because they just feel like they don't deserve the throne and that it just shouldn't be theirs. It should belong to the council and the council's children. So the council's children are basically trying to get rid of Darcy and Tori. That's like kind of where the bully romance aspect comes into it. And I will say it's mostly just a bully romance in like the first 2 books. There's a lot of secondhand embarrassment. Can't handle secondhand embarrassment. Maybe don't pick this up, because every single time I thought that it couldn't get worse, it got worse. But overall, I think it was a really fun series, and it had like all of the witchy vibes that I would have wanted in a fall book. And I literally read it during fall last year, and I'm just now realizing. So there's that. Okay, this next book is not going to be a surprise to anybody, and honestly, if you haven't read this book, what is wrong with you? You need to get your eyes checked, and you need to read it immediately. That is Legendborn by Miss Tracy Dion. I absolutely adore this book. This is dark academia, so what more can you want for a cozy fall book recommendation? I mean, this is the entire package right here. Also, if you're wondering why my cover is different, it is because it is the Owl Crate edition. So instead of it being mostly blue, it's mostly red, which is gorgeous and stunning, and we love her. It follows Bree, who is, you know, struggling after the death of her mom, and she has to go away to, well, she doesn't have to go away to college, but I believe she's 16 or 17, attending UNC in North Carolina. And then she tries to like infiltrate a secret society. If you're interested in like Merlin or King Arthur's Knights and Descendants of King Arthur, then you would really like this. It can be a bit confusing at times. I don't think it was as confusing as a lot of people were saying, and I think a lot of people were also saying that it's really slow. Again, to each their own. I didn't find it that slow. It really wasn't that hard for me to like pick up. If I didn't understand something, I just reread it and I understood it the next time. But if you do have a background of King Arthur and all of that stuff, I think it's a lot more easy on the brain. What was that movie from Disney Channel? I think it was called Avalon High. Oh, I loved Avalon High. Oh my gosh. I wonder if they still play that on Disney Channel. They probably don't. Okay, this next series I will recommend until I cannot recommend it anymore. I think I recommended this in my last fall recommendation video and a few others, but I don't care. I'm gonna recommend it again, and that is Burn For Me by Alona Andrews. I absolutely love this series. I believe this series is called the Hidden Legacy series, and I love Alona Andrews' work. It is a husband and wife duo, and I just love their books. They also have another series called Magic Bites, Magic Burns. No, I think it's the Kate Daniels series. Hold on. What is it called? Okay, yes, it is the Kate Daniels series. It was really long, and I felt like it was never gonna end, but the books that I did read of it were great. Anyways, back to the Hidden Legacy series and Burn For Me. This is a trilogy. It's super easy to read, and I know you're like, Mika, what the actual fuck is that cover? And to that I say, I know, but hear me out. Hear me out. This is like the epitome of everything I would look for in a fall book. And I feel like I've said that for the last few books, but I'm not kidding when I'm talking about this one, okay? I do not play about Burn For Me by Ilona Andrews. But anyways, the main character, Nevada, she can tell when people are lying and like pull the truth from them. Oh my gosh, I love, I can't even talk about this book without laughing. Okay, she has a private investigator firm with her family. It's an urban fantasy, so it takes place in like Texas, I think, like Houston or something. I'm not doing a good job at explaining this whatsoever. I'm gonna read you guys the back of the book and you decide whether or not you want to read it. Please read it, please. I'm begging. So it says, Nevada Baylor is faced with the most challenging case of her detective career, a suicide mission to bring in a suspect in a volatile situation. Nevada isn't sure if she has the chops. Her quarry is a prime, the highest rank of magic user, who can set anyone and anything on fire. Then she's kidnapped by Connor Matt Rogan, a darkly tempting billionaire with equally devastating powers. Torn between wanting to run and wanting to surrender to their overwhelming attraction, Nevada must join forces with Rogan to stay alive. Rogan's after the same target, so he needs Nevada, but she's getting under his skin, making him care about someone other than himself for a change. And as Rogan has learned, love can be as perilous as death, especially in the magic world. Yes, I also have the physical book. That explained it better than I ever could. This book is so easy to read and it's so short. Also, every single book follows a new conflict, which I love so much, because I think if you are going to have a series like this where it follows like one person throughout, it needs to be, you know, engaging and captivating, and I think that this does exactly that. Also, the reason why the covers are absolutely horrid is because I'm pretty sure this was released back in like, what, 2014 or something. I've yet to read a book that's a mass market paperback with a cover like this that hasn't absolutely slapped. And if you have, let me know, but I haven't faced that yet. So will there be a day that I stop recommending this book? Maybe. But unfortunately for you, and fortunately for me, today is not that day. Okay, it's getting really late, and I think if you guys saw the time that I was filming this video, you would be begging me to take my ass to bed. So I'm not even gonna tell you. I'm gonna save y'all from that. But with that being said, I also need to speed this video up because I have a really long day ahead of me tomorrow, and I have to edit this video and edit like a bunch of other stuff for my TikTok. So let me just like speed this up, okay? If my descriptions start getting shorter, that's why. Next up, I have Parallel and Intersect by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This is a very whimsical romantic duology. It has a lot to do with like, I was gonna say time travel, but it's not even time travel. It's parallel universes, which is something I've never seen explored in a book before, at least not anything that I can remember. And I guess like a romance book at that. This book, it made me feel like I was living in a dream. It made me feel so giddy and happy inside. I absolutely love Elizabeth O'Rourke's writing and her books in general. Oh, she writes under L. O'Rourke, I guess when she was writing more of like a sci-fi fantasy. She's also written A Deal with the Devil and that entire series, which is definitely like another favorite of mine. It's absolutely insane. The plot twists in this are wild. The main character is basically having these really bad headaches, and every single time she passes out from one, she ends up in like an alternate universe where she is with this guy who she's just like so familiar with. It just feels like really vivid dreams. But one day she's like looking for, I think she's like looking for venues for her upcoming wedding with her fiance, and she has a really bad fainting spell. So her mother-in-law takes her to the hospital, and the doctor is the guy that she's been having these dreams about. Like, it's literally him in the flesh. Yeah, okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I think that's all you really need to know in order to read this and enjoy it. So if you do read it, let me know how you feel. Okay, next up we have White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is such a fun book. This has like a demon hunter aspect to it. So I read this last year, January, and I was like, it was okay. I was like, I think if I read this when it came out, I would have enjoyed it way more. Then I just had like that urge. So I was like, Mika, you need to stop reading first books in a series and not finishing them. So go through some of your old series and see what books you want to finish. And this was one of the series. So I was like, well, why not? Like, I'm interested. I think I'm just gonna reread it. I'm so glad I did that because I fell in love. This series was amazing. The main character, she's half gargoyle, half, what the hell are they called? She's half gargoyle and half demon, and in this world the gargoyles are there to protect humans from the demons. So she's literally half good, half bad. Her way of like repaying the family that is letting her live with them is by, you know, like killing demons, because she believes that's what's right. She also has a massive crush on her childhood best friend Zane. And then Roth comes in, who is a demon, and he literally claims to know all of Layla's deepest, darkest secrets. This book is so fun. If Jennifer L. Armentrout just has a way with her YA books. I prefer her YA books than her adult books, which I know a lot of people love From Blood and Ash and all that, but like there's just something about Jennifer L. Armentrout's YA books, like Obsidian, White Hot Kiss, the Covenant series. Like, was that the Covenant series? No, sorry, the Half-Blood series. Those are just top tier paranormal romance books for me. I just love them. This one is amazing. I do think you should read it if you haven't already. Okay, I'm literally running out of storage on my camera, so this is so stressful. The next book I have for you guys is From the Embers by Ali Martinez. This is not a dark romance by any means, but it is one of the craziest, plot twistiest books I've ever read. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I'm just gonna give you guys the gist and you read to your heart's desire. How do I even explain this? I don't even know how to explain it. I'm like sitting here trying to think. Like, all I know is that it is like a Lifetime movie. There's a fire. Wait, no. Basically, the main character and her husband are getting ready to head over to their best friend's house and have like a little wine night, dinner night. While they're having dinner, the house explodes. Like, literally explodes. Flames are aflame. The main character's best friend's husband accidentally saves her best friend instead of his wife.
I'm actually appalled at how I was trying to describe that book. So I wrote down a single sentence that encapsulates everything I was trying to say, but in a coherent way. Basically, there's 4 best friends, there's a house fire, and this guy saves his wife's best friend instead of his wife. Just as simple as that. And if that doesn't make sense, I don't know. It's just gonna have to.
The next book, I don't even know if I should be recommending because I read it so long ago. I checked my Goodreads and it said 9 years ago. It said marked as read and completed 9 years ago. That is crazy. The fact that 12-year-old Mika was on Goodreads marking the motherfucking books as read, had places to be and books to read. Okay, I'm gonna read a random page and see if it still holds up. It does. This is the first book that introduced me into fae. This is The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. This is the gorgeous, gorgeous Fairy Loot edition, which, might I add, I'm actually really sad because I didn't get the last like book that they had. I forgot what it was called. So I have like the entire original Iron Fae series, but I don't have the last edition that Fairy Loot just put out. Sold out before I could even like click the link, which doesn't make any sense because I'm like, I know damn well so many people have not read this series, let alone the new series that like came out after it. And like people are reselling it for so much money. There's just no chance of me getting it, point blank period. But that's not even the point. The point is that this introduced me to fae. It was the first book that I read about fae and I was so intrigued, and it really helped me understand the lore, I guess, as I continued reading fantasy books and reading about fae. Yeah, it was just really cool. And I think that like if you want to get into it, read this. This book is amazing. I think it still holds up. I think the series still holds up. I do need to do a reread, so don't hold me to that, but like I'm pretty sure it does. Okay, so next up we have the Mindfuck series, and this is by S.T. Abbey, which does read as stabby. This book is just, you know, about girls being girls, wanting cuddles, female rage, murdering people. Yeah, just girly things, you know? So this is like multiple books just in one. Each book is really short. I'm pretty sure it was like 89 to like 100 pages. It really was not anything crazy, but there are 5 books, so obviously it like, you know, builds up. I read this in like 2 days. It was delectable. I was on my flight. I forgot where I was going, but this was last year, and I was literally on my flight reading, and I don't like reading on planes. I don't like reading when I'm like traveling unless I'm like at my hotel or like somewhere that I'm, you know, seated and can focus and not have like loud noises around me. So planes are not usually it for me, and I sat my ass on that plane, pulled out my Kindle because they are on Kindle Unlimited, and read. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about this. And yeah, it's one of those things, the less you know going into it, the better. So I would recommend just going into this blind. Really fun read. I think that you will enjoy this if you want to read about a murderous girl who is murdering for good reason, might I add, who also falls in love. Because like, duh. Okay, and then we have this absolute fall staple, which is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. I just want to note that this takes place in Miami, and it is not accurate at all. Like, the time that it takes the characters to get from one place to another place does not make any sense. And I think I absolutely hate reading about books that take place in the city that I live in, because then I'm just overthinking everything. I'm like, that wouldn't work here. That doesn't make any sense. Does that happen to anybody else? Does that happen to anybody else? That can't just be a me thing. The main character, some real freaky shit has been happening to her, okay? Poor Mara. I literally love her. She should be protected. She is just, she's been through it, okay? Basically, she kills people accidentally without really even meaning to. For example, someone could throw a pencil at her head and she could just be like, ugh, I wish they would die. And they will die in the most like gruesome, fucked up way that you could imagine, but like she doesn't actually do it, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's definitely, I would say it's a pretty good spooky fall read. I don't know about cozy, but I mean, some people can get cozy vibes from that. To each their own. I'm not gonna yuck on anyone's yum. I also really loved this. I read this when I was like in 7th grade, and it's a very old copy. And I was actually doing a reread recently, and I found a little like bookmark of me and one of my best friends, and I actually made her read this series and she loved it. The next book I have on here is The Grim Reaper's Lawyer. This book was definitely fun, and it is exactly how it sounds, about this girl who dies and she becomes the Grim Reaper's lawyer. It was a very interesting read. I will say the smut took me 110% by surprise. I was just appalled, okay? One minute it was like the cutest romance, and the next minute it was just the dirtiest smut talk I have ever, not that I've ever read, but like, you know when you're just not expecting it? I was just expecting a cute, simple romance, and then I just got like other things, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing that. If you like that, I love that for you. My camera is about to die. I feel like I still have so much more to recommend to you guys. I appreciate you guys watching this. I really hope you have some good book recommendations. I hope I did a good job. If you've read any of these, let me know. If you plan on reading any of these, tag me. Or if you do read any of them, also tag me. If you made it to this point in the video, comment down, like, is there a pumpkin emoji? Or leaves? Comment down like pumpkins or leaves. I love you all for being so patient with me. I just hope that everyone has an amazing, amazing time this fall. And I will see you all in my next video. Mwah. Bye.
East and the west, I'm racking up on my bread, power on me, I'm feeling just like a Tesla. Too much tree, the smoke is making my chest hurt. Girl on me, I'm thinking I should've rest her. Hey, I'm thinking I should've rest all night long. She putting me to the test. Got a lot on, I'm trying to take out the rest.